Welcome back to Kin in Line. I make this part 92. So I was now based in a flat in Lawrence Street, Central Port Elizabeth, from 1986, after I got unmarried. I was living with a gay woman who obviously had a lot of gay friends, and it was for me a bit of a culture shock, but probably necessary to sort of shocked me out of what I'd been through. It was just a totally different world. Anyway, this was one of Michelle's friends who I sketched very quickly using my watercolors straight onto the page. It's a big page, it's a big drawing book. And I think it works quite well. It's this I haven't had a chance to do very often, but even I have to humbly submit that this is quite a interesting and possibly an exceptional drawing. Not so much this one, but then this isn't from life again. Now we're back just imagining things and creating semi-abstract compositions. Which has its own worth. I mean, there is a face there, there's a bit of a landscape or a seascape behind. It's all encased within a landscape. So probably not a bad effort either, really. So there's another really odd thing. This sort of kind of represents the 80s, mid-80s, I guess. Things were happening. There's that strange-faced creature that I developed in the army. Almost like toes on the face. Those eyes jutting out there. Yeah. So a bit of fun. And so was this. A whole page full of kind of weird creatures. I mean, this one's taking a leak onto a tree and thoroughly happy with the relief it's bringing him. This guy with a rather red-looking phallic organ, all straight out of the subconscious, most of these. I mean, I don't know how I came up with all these. Bizarre. Still. These people with sort of blankets. There's this culture in traditional African society of wearing blankets as kind of adornment. Particularly, I think, in Lesotho. So we're going to move across to more weird and wackies. There's a wee lad. It's funny how often overweight kids, you end up seeing them eating, and things like ice creams. And yeah, I had and still have very little time for the overwealthy, the privileged elite, who don't know really the value of money, the importance of saving it, or just how many jewels they've got and how big their car is and whether they're doing better than the Joneses. So here I've sort of incorporated a tropical type of landscape, or incorporated a person or a figure into the landscape, just suggested there with the eyes and the limbs and sort of palms in the background. obviously on very thin paper. I don't know where I would have got this paper. Actually, it's been well preserved. There's no foxing on it at all. So here, parquet floor, man. And yeah, cats there. It's funny, I would end up, you'll see in a future post, this was from the imagination, but I actually do sketches from life of people walking on the beach. And it's uncanny how similar one of them has turned out to this. But yeah, the line from a sketch drawn from life obviously just has more value because it's coming directly from a figure into through your brain and through your hand onto the page. That's just the whole point of it. There's a bit slightly phallic thing here, but I look at these hands. But I mean, what's that all about? Got to realize I was probably in my late 20s, no, around about 30, I think, when I got divorced after 3 years of not very happy marriage. So here she seems to have tucked her hand behind the hip bone. And then this became a little fun thing to do. I think I've shown earlier how I have a couple walking with a man kind of on top and with a long arm stretching down. Here we've got conjoined heads. It makes me again think that I could convert these into big paintings. But, you know, who would buy them? That's a big question. Your outlay for canvas, paint, time is immense. And is there ever a market, you know, unless your name's well known in the art world? Excuse me. So I'm happy just to present these as final artworks, and maybe one day somebody will recognize that they might be worth something. Incredible that I came up with these things. And then if at least switch to the Alps somewhere, a sort of alpine chap with some black thing under his arm. This one sadly seems to have been torn off. Pity. So there's something of the teacher about this with what do they call these boards that you get your shove on your head when you get a diploma or a degree or something. One of my humanized animals. Probably a self-portrait here. Note the tie. Does remind me of the Goon Show. Blue Bottle, possibly. It's falling in the water. Yeah, I think we're back in the cold north somewhere. Look at these eyes. That's a variation, I think, on a crocodile. Nice texture with the cloud echoing the shape. And another one now. What are these tongues sticking out for? And a whole page of faces. Amazing how you can just concoct expressions. You know, these are all different expressions. Each one is a character in its own right. Again, if I were to spend weeks recreating this as a painting, and I had a surname as well known as Picasso's, I'd be away. Wealthy as sin. Okay, so my obsession with the female form, obviously you don't lose it. It's like riding a bicycle. It's just there, and it comes out in these abstract things, particularly when you start playing with flesh colors and curves and things. This one, unfortunately, which I even signed from 1985, unfortunately the aging process hasn't helped it. I think I might have had this up and framed somewhere for a while. Quite like the fact that I could capture a woman's face in a few lines. Here's another page of faces. We all know somebody who looks like one of these. This was an exercise in laughing faces, I guess, except this guy. And I think we'll end with another batch of faces who are all glum, pretty much, except the bottom guy who looks like he's about to consume the rest of them. And he's got a bit of a smirk. Yeah, so I'll leave it at that for now. Cheers.